a huge honor for me today to be in my house with Vladimir Kostovski. Did I say that right?
That was
Kostovski.
Kostovski. That's good.
And
Vladimir, yeah.
I fell in love with this guy on Dentaltown. He's got several hundred posts on Dentaltown. Then I realized, my God, he lives right in we live in the same town of Phoenix. And what's most romantic about him is he was born in the same state, Macedonia, as Mother Teresa, who, growing up to Catholic school, my two older sisters went into the nunnery straight out of high school.
Oh, wow.
And in our family, the most loved person in the family was Mother Teresa. And you were born in her country, so would you call yourself the Mother Teresa of dentistry?
I will adopt that now.
I would just run with it.
We're looking into copywriting that name.
You're looking at copywriting that? So you've had an interesting story. You've been in dentistry since 2012, which is probably pretty cool since what you're doing is pretty brand new stuff. You started out with Infusionsoft, and now you have a company, VLADKOST, and basically you tell them what you do, because you have a relationship with Infusionsoft, which is also here in the Valley. It's in Chandler, Arizona. So tell my homies what you do. How do you make dentists happy?
I help them drive calls to their practice, help them convert those calls to patients, minimize attrition, increase treatment plan acceptance rates, all while creating a fun work culture and productive work culture. But Infusionsoft, they're one of the partners that I work with. There's a handful of service providers within the dental industry that I've had experience working with that I recommend that dentists take a look at on my website, and Infusionsoft is one of those companies.
And which ones do you recommend?
Or off the top of my head,
what are your go-to favorites?
Yappy.
Oh, I
love Yappy. Infusionsoft, obviously, and a new one I would take a look at is Nucalm.
Nucalm.
Nucalm. And if you
Nucalm.
Yeah.
I thought that was the drug for anxiety, or the method for anxiety.
Yeah.
Jim Polsky?
Yep. I work with those guys, and they recently started focusing on dentistry. I've been talking to them. I specifically work with Kenton. He's my contact at that company since probably 2014.
What's his name?
Kenton. Kenton.
But let's go back to dentists go to school 8 years to learn how to do root canals, fillings, and crowns, and they really didn't decide they wanted to be a dentist to have helping surgical hands to help people, and now they have to learn all of this crap. And they probably don't want to learn it; they just have to learn it. Do you think they like learning it? Do they want to learn it, or is this? I think
they do. You know what?
Like mowing the yard is something you got to do.
No, in my experience, the dentists that I work with really enjoy it, because what happens is when you own your own business, and there's almost a transformation that I've seen with a lot of my clients, is where they go from a dentist, that's this very technical person that is focused on the science and the art of dentistry, to business owner, entrepreneur. And the possibility of what they can do with their practice to fuel their life really shows up and comes up with maybe the first breakthrough that we do, and they start liking it. I mean, let's say we do a session on scheduling training, and after a brief period, they see their call conversions go up, they see treatment plan acceptance rates go up, they see a certain process put in place, and maybe they do or may not have processes where they need to, but once they see the improvement and they see really the light, and sometimes it happens, before me. Sometimes I get clients that already have that mindset, but I think they do like it. I think it's natural. I think you should, because it's something that affects anybody's life to a massive degree.
So, do you mostly work with dentists here in the Phoenix Valley, or
all over the U.S. and really anywhere around the world? As long as they speak English, I'm willing to work with them. And I know different countries have different laws, so I am aware of that. But so far, I've had one client in Canada, and the rest of my clients have been from the U.S.
Yeah, laws are just suggestions. You don't have to follow them.
Yeah.
I mean, right, we're in Phoenix.
That's what I hear from the ADA.
Right now, there's probably a trailer of marijuana going from Mexico to Canada, right by our house, and so they're just suggestions. So how does it work? If one of my homies, so basically you're helping them get. Are you helping them get more calls or convert the existing calls to
both,
appointments?
whatever they need. So
you do marketing.
So when they go to my website, I have them fill out.
What is your website?
VladKostDentalMarketing.com.
Vlad for Vladimir, VLAD, and then Kost.
KOST.
Kostovski.
Kostovski.
Did I say it right? And a good Mother Teresa name. VladKostDentalMarketing.com. So they go there, and the icons are more calls to your practice, increase conversions, keep patients coming back. Are those kind of three separate things? Or?
Yeah, so if you click on one of those, you go to a set of blog posts that's associated with each of those. And then once you go to a blog post of mine, a form pops up that asks you if you want to work with me, or you can just go to the Work With Me tab at the top. And what happens is I explain my offer, how it works. The dentist fills out a form that I have at the bottom. It's a brief form, maybe 8 or 9 questions. And then we have an initial consulting call. These initial calls go on for anywhere between.
Okay, but you're working in industry. I mean, I've been in this industry 29 years. We both went to ASU to study business, so we're both Sun Devils. But here's the deal: if I go ask a dentist, what bonding agent do you want to use? Oh my God, she'll talk for 40 days and 40 nights. But then if I say to her, how many people called your office in the month of December?
Yeah.
No
clue.
They
usually don't know.
And then I'll say, well, how many people have to call your office to get one scheduled in the city?
Usually don't know.
They have no idea. So how do you... So number one, you're solving a problem that none of them know they have.
Correct.
Well, what would you say the average call conversion is from a dentist who's studying their latest root canal technique and is oblivious?
3-4 out of 10. If they don't know,
they convert 3 out of 10. So 1 out of 3.
If you don't know, if you have no idea how many you're converting, out of 10 new patient call possibilities, and a lot of times dentists don't know how to identify that it's a new patient opportunity. So if somebody calls in and they ask a question, and if they're not a patient, that's an opportunity. But sometimes because they only asked a question and got off the line, they might not identify it as an opportunity.
But it's funny because the dentist thinks the nightmare is corporate dentistry, as if Heartland is the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, Heartland is doing so successful because they have a call center in Effingham. I mean, they treat this as serious as a heart attack.
Yep.
And then the dentists, my homies, they don't know how many calls come in their office. They have no idea how many are converted. And all the data I see is that 3 people have to call the office and asking about it and wanting to find a dental home before one gets scheduled in the chair. It's 3 to 1. And then what's even worse is there's 168 hours in a week. 50% of incoming calls during open hours go to voicemail.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Dude, wake up. I mean, so how do you help these people?
The first thing that we do is we implement a call recording software that records these calls. There's also another software.
So you're a spy is what you are.
Exactly. Well, with the name, I sound like a Bond villain, so I might as well play the role within the industry.
So how do you record phone calls?
Software,
and that's legal? Do you have to? I mean, is it in all different states? I mean, I know some states.
Oh yeah, it's.
You have to give a warning that says this call may be recorded, or in Arizona, do you not have to?
You know what? The software handles it. It depending on the state. Sometimes it says it, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. But it's a dental specific software, so they're familiar with the industry. And there's another software by the same company.
And what is this company?
My Doctor Calls.
My Doctor Calls, and that's the software you use to record the calls. My Doctor Calls.
There's a few of them, but I have it recommended on the Tools of the Trade site or the list of service providers that I recommend.
Where's that on here?
Yes Track and My Doctor Calls.
That's on here.
Yes.
My Doctor Calls and Yes Track. So they call you and they're not aware they have a problem. So the first thing you start doing the first thing you do for a dentist is start recording their phone calls?
Correct. Recording them, and my doctor calls in YesTrack is the same company. One software records the calls with analytics to show me all the information that I need, and the other one has a call center that it drives unanswered calls to at any time of the day.
So a dentist with this can have their calls forwarded to an answering service?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And it's not perfect, but it's an amazing solution to where you make sure you're never going to miss a call. Because, I don't know national statistics on this, but I can tell you from my personal experience, an enormous amount of calls don't get answered during hours, plus during around the hours. And some dentists, they'll return the calls, but a lot of times the staff has so many other things to do where those calls never get returned.
And it's not just dentists, it's lawyers too.
Oh, it's every small business owner.
Yeah, I have a very good friend in the Valley, and I don't want to throw his name under a bridge, but he's had his ad on the back of the Yellow Page, on a billboard, TV. Always uses the same number because he likes the sound of his number.
Yeah.
Bang, 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 bang. And but when I have lunch with him, I say, well, how do you know if they're calling off the billboard, the Yellow Pages, the direct mail? He says, I have no idea. So he's got all this marketing, but he has no idea what's working, what's the old joke in marketing? Half my marketing is great, the other half sucks, but I don't know which half is which.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a pretty common issue. It's easily fixed though. But really that's what we first focus on. Normally there's really not a whole lot of systems in place or tracking systems in place. And that's the first thing that we do. Then we look at, call conversions. Where are they? And then I specifically listen to some of these calls with the doctor and sometimes the office manager. And we look for calls that, this should have been scheduled, but it wasn't. This could have been handled better to where they have higher odds of probability of calling back and scheduling by changing this around. And then we do some type of scheduling training with the front desk staff and the office manager. Everyone's generally involved. That's how we create buy-in. We do it all together.
So then you have to travel to train then?
No, we do it all over Skype.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do dentists call you? Why are they calling?
On a high level, it's uncertainty. Uncertainty about where their collection numbers are going to be next month, next year. My last call was a dentist out of California. She's been in practice for 15 years, and the last 12 months, her collections have suddenly dropped 15%. Now she's at a level of uncertainty. But before that, it's not that, she was doing around 750.
So these people, they start with calling you.
Yeah.
And what's your phone number to call?
602-703-3854.
So they call 602-703-3854, and then they call you. And what is your, I mostly do a filling and a crown and a root canal. What are you mostly doing? What are the most problems they're calling out? Uncertainty?
Uncertainty, that's the high level one. That's really the problem that we have to solve. We have to make that business certain that their revenue is going to steadily grow in their local economy. That really is the one problem that I solve. But if we're going to down to the nitty gritty, we do scheduling training. I train the practice manager on treatment plan acceptance rates, following up with that, and driving calls at the practice. That's really the three things.
Okay, so the three areas. So number one was?
It's drive calls at the practice, scheduling training, and treatment plan conversions.
Okay, so let's start. So so if someone sits there, most dentists think I could solve all my problems if I just could do 10 more crowns a month.
Maybe.
I'm just telling you my own mistake. I'm not saying they're really sharp when it comes to algebra and physics, but some of their business solutions are crazy. But so a dentist calls you up and she just wants to drive revenue. So the first thing, drive calls to your practice. how do you do? So you do marketing then?
Yes, it's a combination of direct mail and online. Generally, depending on I do a demographic search. So we look at the numbers. Who are they surrounded by, and then we'll test things. We'll do a direct mail as well as internet marketing, and to drive new calls, and then we do a remarketing campaign to where anyone that visits their website still gets tracked for the next 30 days. But we really just focus on targeting the type of patient that they want more of. So some dentists, let's say it's a starter practice, they want more calls of all types of patients. So we do. There's one type of campaign we do that. Some, if you're a prosthodontist, you really want, let's say, women that are married between 45, 55 with a certain yearly revenue and asset amount within, 5 to 8 miles of your area.
That's actually what I want. I'm a single man. I want a woman between 40 and 55 who's really, really rich and only lives less than 2 blocks away. I don't want to get a car. But most of my homies, I assume, are general dentists. I don't know. I understand that for like an oral surgeon or a periodontist who wants implant cases.
But even general dentists sometimes want only a specific type of patient. So let's say you're really big on Invisalign. Let's say that you service a specific type of community. Like let's say you're out servicing Sun City. In Sun City, there's a specific type of patient that you're looking for.
Are any of them still alive in Sun City?
Sun City.
You can drive down that street at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and I'll see a human.
Yeah.
It's a huge retirement community. They're mostly Canadians, would you say? Canadians and North...
snowbirds. Tons of snowbirds.
Iowa, Nebraska, North and South Dakota, Minnesota. And, my God. So, let's go back. You said internet marketing, direct mail. I imagine some millennials would think, direct mail? That went extinct 100 years ago. What do you... direct mail, Yellow Pages, those are dead. Are they dead, or do they still work?
No, they absolutely still work. I understand direct mail gets a lot of flack from every industry, every type of business, every consultant out there, but it's phenomenal. You still get a return. Billions, if not trillions of dollars every year are spent on direct mail, and it's not because it doesn't work.
Well, I think they don't understand the numbers. Like, they might think, well, I hate going out to the mailbox and getting all this stuff and throwing away, but in direct mail, it doesn't matter if 99 out of 100 people think that. If 1 out of 100 picks up and calls your office, that's winning the lottery.
The goal is to we're fighting obscurity, right? So we're fighting people not knowing you when they need you. And in some areas, people respond better to direct mail than online marketing because people are getting bombarded everywhere. You probably have a lot more competition when you advertise online than when you advertise with direct mail. So really, it's just standing out from your competitors in your area to people that need you.
So who is calling you? Are they mostly? Do they have any profile? The people that your clientele, are they mostly? Yeah, are they older, younger, boys, girls?
Rural,
urban, big city, small town.
Mostly in big cities.
Big cities,
dentists that age between late 30s and early 50s. That's a pretty wide age.
So it's 30 to 50 in big cities.
Yeah, late 30s to early 50s. So if you're listening to this in dental school, damn it, don't go to the big cities. I've been telling you this. I just published the American Dental Student Association, ADEA, or whatever. I just posted on Dentaltown. But anyway, it's a list of all 50 states of their what they have offer for student loan payback plans, and almost every state has $80,000, $100,000, $200,000 available if you go to a rural town. Yeah.
And what these guys do is they wake up in the suburb and they commute an hour downtown to where they haven't needed a dentist in 20 years.
Yeah.
But if they woke up in their house in the morning and drove an hour out of town, there's some city out there with 1,500 people with no dentist with a draw of 3,000, and they're all rich.
You know what? You're right. At the same time, though, you can still thrive in a big city with a lot of competitors. The reality is...
But you got to be a better sophisticated business person.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the rural, there's no competition.
Yeah.
Where the dumb dentist can make 250, 300 without even trying.
Yep.
But to make 250, 300, 400 in LA or Scottsdale, you got to be sophisticated.
The reality is you got to be making more than 300 in LA. I mean, if you're in LA, you need a much bigger practice than, let's say, here in Scottsdale. I mean, if you're here in the Valley, you can live, let's say, in Gilbert and practice in Scottsdale, and if you're bringing in 300, you're doing really well.
I'm saying gross or net take home?
Net take home.
Okay, yeah.
LA, if you live in LA, New York, Chicago, one of those large cities, you got to be doing a lot more to really have the same standard of living. But you also have bigger, more capabilities because it's such a dense area and really wide and dense.
So you're saying direct mail and internet marketing both work in LA and Scottsdale?
You got to do both.
You got to do both.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if my homies call you up, do you make the direct mail piece? Do you?
Yeah.
You
I have a
graphically
team.
lay it out. You have a team. You print, drop, ship, the whole 9 yards.
Every dentist that I've worked with has already had some type of staple that they currently use or have used in the past. So we generally start with that because I don't want to change. They're already well known, or if they're already somewhat known from a certain scheme or a certain type of design. We make a few adjustments to it, and we usually do either a trifold or a large postcard, like the 8.5 by 11, or like the large, I'm talking about the large colored ones. We do one of those two for direct mail. If we're going to do online ads, we do Facebook advertising, and for remarketing.
Okay, well, I want to say direct mail.
Sure.
So is it a plan? Like it's something like you do every quarter, or is this just a one-time shot of heroin, or is it a longer term plan? Or
so that's a great question, and it depends on the target. Sometimes we'll do one piece per week to the same people for 3 weeks. So they'll get a different piece each time. So let's say we do a campaign of 3 pieces of mail. They're all gonna read like a one-way conversation with a person, right? Like if you look at all of them. They're all going to be a little bit different and just trying to communicate with this potential patient. And, we'll give those people a break for 6 months. So we'll do a piece per week for 3 weeks and then let it rest for 6 months and 6 months.
Because I notice a lot of my homies, if you're listening to them carefully, they'll say, I tried direct mail and it didn't work. And what they just said is, they made one flyer one time and mailed it, and they don't think it worked.
And a lot.
But can direct mail work? I do it one time, or does it have to be?
No, you have to do it multiple times.
Repetition.
And another thing that I see is a lot of times dentists do once a month, and once a month is great. They'll do like once a month for 3 months, and let it breathe for 6 to 12 months, and then repeat. But I like to test out once per week because people get so many advertisements. If you advertise to somebody once a month, that they're not going to remember you in that 30-day window, especially in these big cities. So I like to do once per week for 3 weeks. If you do one piece of mail just one time, the best marketer on the planet is going to get you a 1% callback ratio. And that is the best human being on the planet.
Can I tell you my guerrilla marketing deal?
What?
What I did is I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I'm next to a grocery store.
Uh-huh.
Have you seen my office? You drove right past it.
I drove past it.
40th and LA. But anyway, it's next to a grocery store, which we won't mention the name. But anyway, I go in there and I'll print up a bunch of flyers, and I'll be friends with the manager.
Yeah.
And I'll go put a stack of flyers at the end of each of the Safeway checkout deals.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then when they're bagging their groceries, I'll put a flyer in one of the bags. And then what I do is I put those flyers and I drive over to the apartment complexes. And I always find some kid riding around on a bicycle. And I show them a Benjamin. I say, you want a Benjamin? And they're like, hell yeah. And I give them the flyers. I say, go stick one of these under the car windshield of every car in this entire apartment complex. And then here's my cell phone number. They all got cell phones. And then text me when you're done. And I'll drive back and so I do that.
That's a generous sum. One parking lot for $100.
No. These are 3-story apartment on Ray Road. They're huge. And then another thing I did is there's a Coca-Cola factory across the highway, but they have a security deal, so I can't go in there and canvass their parking lots. So I always find some 2 little hoodlums on a bicycle over there, and they just go do it. But anyway, shouldn't talk about that. But so that's direct mail. So now you said we're talking about phase 1, driving more calls. So you said direct mail and online advertising.
Yeah.
And is online advertising for you, is that mostly Facebook?
Yeah, almost all Facebook.
It's almost all Facebook.
Yeah, Google's great too. The thing with Google is it's a lot more competition, and you got to find somebody that really specializes on Google Ads. But even at that point, there's generally a large commitment to do it to get adequate results, to get something that's worth pursuing.
So do you know a Google Ads expert? A Google AdWords?
I do work with one, but I personally find more success with Facebook. And the only time that I use...
Who's your Google Ads expert?
It's just somebody that I work with. I work with a company out of Ohio, and it's one of their employees that does Google.
Fix this up. Email me and him, because I like to drive more people to Dentaltown.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you could email him and me, Howard at dentaltown.com. I mean, we've always tried things since 1998. But anyway, Facebook's is all what it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, I love Facebook, but where dentists come short with Facebook is they don't do everything that needs to happen. So with Facebook, there's really 3 ways that you can make it work.
Listen to this,
and you got to do all 3.
Listen to this. On this
the first thing you have to do is activity. So if somebody comments on a picture or a post that you make or has a question, you got to respond to that within an hour and respond to that specific person. So if you have an office manager whose job it is to deal with these marketing things, they need to be checking, or they need to get a notification anytime there's a comment on your Facebook, so you can reply to that and immediately convert that comment into a patient. So that's one. You have to actually be on there to respond to human beings. Number 2 is you got to do activity. So one of the companies I work with is My Social Practice. They give you ideas for...
Jack Hadley out of Utah?
Yeah. So they give you ideas for content, but you got to post every day, and you have to post multiple times a day and rotate the type of content that you post. So one post in the day could just be a happy patient that's walking out. Another post of the day could be something personal. Maybe somebody baked some type of treats and brought them in for patients on their way out. Another post can be something educational, so linking heart disease to gum disease. And you're rotating it, but it's multiple times a day, a lot of activity, so that way you're utilizing the people that currently like you or that currently associated with your page, and encourage engagement. And the third thing is what we just talked about, is using their platform to drive paid traffic to it.
Okay, what does that mean, drive paid traffic?
So actually advertise on Facebook with their ads.
When you say activity, like multiple posts a day, so whenever you make a post on Facebook, it prompts you, do you want to boost the post?
I never do. Yeah, I would never do it.
You would never do that?
I would never do it. Personally, I wouldn't, because the analytics aren't there. You just don't know if it's going to work. I mean, I also don't play slot machines for the same reason. So that's why I don't.
So you don't believe in boost a post?
No.
You believe in creating a Facebook ad?
Yeah.
And what's the difference there?
It works. It could work, but there's just not enough behind it for me to know, is it working, when it's working. I need control. I'm the type of person, I need to be able to manipulate and have control over these campaigns, because one small change can be the difference, can make or break something. And the boost, I've worked with dentists that do the boost posts, and they just do them because it's only like $7 or something like that. And whatever, it's $7, they'll play that game. I personally, the way I treat my clients' money is my own money, and I personally don't. I would rather allocate that $7 towards a campaign that I know has a certain success rate.
And that would be creating an ad?
Yeah. I love, right now what's working really well are video ads on Timeline. So the game is, I utilize what's underutilized by the market, because you're going to get it for a lot less money than what it's really worth. So Facebook continuously changes their platform. They'll add different ways for people to advertise on. And when they come out with these things, there's always a catch-up game going, right? The market needs to catch up with what they came out with. And they came out with timeline videos a while ago, but it's still radically underutilized. So you create a timeline video, you can get a view for pennies. I mean, I've had views for a penny a view, or 1 penny per person that views it. But generally you can get each view down to a few cents. And that's something that's targeted within your area. It's your demographic as a dentist. And you know exactly what you're getting for the price that you're getting it at.
And okay, so then when people call you up, you basically have a 1, 2, 3. So the first is driving more calls, and you can do that with direct mail. You can do it with online advertising like Facebook. And then the second part is scheduling, where you're gonna video Skype the front desk, the employees that were all named specifically after a piece of furniture. And so that's why dentists should be called the drill. If they're called the front desk, I should be the drill, and the hygienist should be the scaler. So talk about that. So what's scheduling, conversion? Yeah,
so I try to get everybody in the practice involved. So if I can get the practice manager and the dentist involved as well, that's great too. And what we do is we work hands-on to create solutions that everyone's comfortable using. When I first started, I had certain scripts just laid out that a front desk can use, but the problem with that is buy-in, right? You don't know that person's personality. You don't know if they feel comfortable saying that. You don't know if they know how to say it. So it's really hands-on approach, and we listen to calls. And
it's very regional. This is a huge country.
Yeah.
And the difference between someone in Georgia and New Jersey is 2 different countries.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, America's really a dozen different countries.
You're right.
Flying under a flag.
That's what I found. And the scripts that I had, they work really well for big cities. But even in big cities, there's still there's a person there, right? Then that person needs to feel good about what they're going to say, and they need to feel good about themselves and how they're going to say it. So
you have specific scripts for like New Jersey. So like they'll answer the phone like, "Hey, come on in right now. You coming in now?"
My process now is I just ask them for suggestions. It's real. I don't even come up with most of the new scripts.
But I just think that I've seen studies from ASU where if you just put a camera above the cash register, pilfering and stealing drops. So if you just I think that the minute I start telling my front office that they're going to be recorded, I think they're every call they're on Broadway. So I think that changed their behavior. Yeah. And then when you start giving them just imagine the NFL football game if they said, it's a Christmas game, we're not going to have refs, we're not going to keep score, we're just going to have fun.
Yeah,
that'd be insane.
Yeah,
you have refs and a scoreboard because that changes behavior.
Yeah,
I mean, look how their behavior changes when they come down to the 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 3.5 quarters of how they played completely goes out the window.
Yeah.
So just recording them and then keeping score is going to totally change their scheduling behavior.
Yeah, you're completely right. And so during the actual calls, during the Skype calls, the trainings, we'll listen to calls that were handled really well, why they were handled really well. Then we'll listen to calls that could have been handled better. And the first question I ask is, how do you guys think this could have been handled better? And, we'll come up with 2, 3, 4, 5 suggestions, and we'll break down the suggestions, and we'll adopt one as a group. And sometimes I'll throw suggestions, and I'll write it a little differently.
And is this something you do this at a staff meeting or during lunch or at the end of the day? Or?
Whatever is good for them. Sometimes we do it during lunch. Other times we'll do it.
And how long is this training session?
Until the work gets done.
Until you start seeing conversions?
Until it's done. I mean, that each specific session, 45 minutes on average.
And what percent, what do you call them? Front desk, receptionist, admin, what do you call them?
Admin. So admin, I consider everyone in the back, so including the practice manager. But the people that specifically answer the phone calls, I call them front desk.
Because you're just into furniture.
I mean,
and what percent of them are girls?
I mean, almost all.
Almost all.
Almost all.
Yeah, and what percent? In some business, like if you had sold, like your dad had a restaurant. When people go to the restaurant, they're all happy. They're gonna eat.
Yeah.
I mean, what's more fun than eating? But then when they call the dental office, it's kind of the other side of a human. You know what I mean? What percent of calls would you say? Because the dentist is back there drilling for a root canal. They usually have no idea. What's going on in the front. They have no idea. So, but you're talking mostly dentists. So what percent of the phone calls are? I'm kind of grumpy. I'm kind of in pain. I'm not ordering a cheese pizza to be delivered to my house. I'm calling a damn dental office.
If you're working in Sun City, it's going to be a little more of that than if you're working in a big city. I don't think very many of the calls are in a grumpy attitude. I think most of the calls are curiosity. And a lot of those calls are during times, middle of the day, where the person's at work, they got a lot going on, they just need information, and they get off the phone. That's really the state that most people are in when they call the dental practice. They don't think about whether they're happy or sad, and they're not either. They're just in the mood that they're in throughout the day. So
they're basically they're in a hurry. They want information. They want to make a transaction.
Yeah.
Okay, so I call you. I'm in a hurry. I want to make a transaction. Why do some offices take 3 or 4 of those calls to get one scheduled?
Yeah.
And why do other offices can convert 1 out of 2? Is that really the goal, to go from 1 out of 3 to 1 out of 4 to 1 out of 2? I mean, you're not going to get 100%.
Yeah.
Well, what is a
good conversion rate?
What is a good conversion rate?
Again, it depends on the practice. So if you're a practice that you take every insurance and you're open on the weekends and you accommodate everyone in every which way, you're going to have a higher conversion rate than if you're a cash only practice, closed on weekends, open 3 days a week, whatever.
So what would be the ideal hours?
Ideal hours is as many as you can be open. If you work...
But my homies, everybody I know is open Monday through Thursday from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. Which one of those would be better hours? 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday? That's a joke.
Yeah.
So what do customers want?
Customers want weekends and nights. Ideally...
Weekends and nights? You didn't say early mornings.
Early mornings as well, depending on where you...
But your go-to
outside of work hours.
Weekends and what is weekends and nights?
Open a little past 5 o'clock, so maybe 6:30. And weekends, doesn't have to be a full day, but a half day on a Saturday. These are people that... And again, it depends on your demographic. If you're working in Sun City and everyone's retired... You don't have to work nights or weekends.
I'll throw Mother Teresa into this, because a lot of dentists say, "No, I don't want to work Saturday."
Sure. And
yet, if you look at if you study every major religion that's ever came out, there's only one statement that's found in all major religions. It's not a city, it's not a state, it's not a place, no name. The only thing found in every major religion was the golden rule. That's what they call the golden rule. Treat other people like you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And my God, if you woke up on Saturday and went to eat your Cheerios and your molar broke off, you'd want a dentist open. And then you go to church on Sunday and say, "Oh yeah, I treat other people," but then your office just won't do it. And it's huge, isn't it? And then they say things that they want to believe, like, "Well, no one ever will show up on Saturday. They're all going to schedule. They're all going to schedule, but none of them will show up." That's what they all say on Dentaltown all day long.
That might be an issue that you have in your practice, but people will show up.
Well, here's what it is. It's anchoring. When someone cancels on Wednesday from 2 to 4, you're like, cool.
You don't notice it.
Yeah, cool. But if someone cancels on a Saturday, oh my God. You get on, the minute you just log on Dentaltown, got here on Saturday, and the damn patient didn't show. Yeah. But they don't say that on Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, and that's what patients want. But there's really 2 things that a front desk staff should do, and their conversion rates will blow up. If you do these 2 things, number 1 is smile on the phone. It sounds really corny. And I know how corny it sounds, just me saying it. I almost don't want to say it.
It's true, though.
But people can hear you smile over the phone. I can hear people smile. It's a natural instinct that we all have. We can sense happy individuals.
There's even some research on a TED Talk that when people are feeling blue, that you just stand up and you smile and you get animated and you just start moving around and you just smile really hard. That's some backfeed into your brain.
I contributed to somebody. I don't know who. It was either a. It might be a service provider. I contributed to a really big dental media agency, and that post was talking about that, smiling on the phone. The second thing is uncovering and answering what patients really want to know. So nobody ever asks the question that they really want. So somebody will call and they'll ask you, what hours do you work? Or what insurance do you take? But is that what you really want from your dentist? No, what you really want from your dentist is to take care of you. Because there's 10 dentists in every big city that take your insurance and that are open the same amount of hours. But you really want is certainty that when you go in, you're going to have somebody that takes care of you. And what you want to do is take that uncertainty and make them certain and help them understand that your practice, your business will solve that problem that they have.
So you're talking about creating trust.
Yeah.
So how do you create trust on a quick phone call?
So it starts with the actual marketing. There's a principle that I talk about in a lot of my videos and a lot of my marketing that one of the biggest things holding people back from making decisions is fear of the unknown, right? So let's say you have some service that could be any service that is mediocre, and you can get a much better service to solve a lot more of your needs for about the same price. Well, what keeps people from switching over as soon as they find out? And that's uncertainty, right? So one really easy thing that you can do in a lot of your marketing to relieve that uncertainty is put the names of the people that are going to be happy to answer your call. So let's say your front desk people's name are Kathy and Mary. When you have your number in bold on a piece of marketing, right underneath, just place something along the lines of Kathy and Mary are going to be happy to are going to be happy to take your call. So now the person that's going to call knows who to expect to answer that call. And if they go to your website, that you should have your staff's profiles filled out. So now the next step that a new patient would take, which is calling your practice, is all clear. And it sounds silly, but something that it does hold people back from calling because they don't know what to expect that's on the phone. It's not a logical fear because there's nothing threatening that could happen, but it's just people's nature. They like to know the next step in the process before they have to do it. It needs to be as transparent as possible.
You know what we did on our website under the staff? Mm-hmm. Instead of taking staff pictures, I just went to the FBI website for America's 10 Most Wanted, and I entered all those. And I thought, do you think that was a good marketing idea?
It could be.
It could be.
It could be.
Got a lot of new patients from the FBI. Okay, so when you have these calls, do you think the receptionists have fun? Are they open?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do they enjoy this, or are you like the mean teacher? Or
on the other hand, I talk the dentist into giving some type of performance bonus. So there is something in it for the staff. First, there's the monetary bonus that we figure out. So it could be, if you increase your call conversions to this, you get $100 every month. Or
another Benjamin.
Yeah, something along the lines. It could be you have two tiers. So let's.
And I also believe that when you hand women a Benjamin, that's fun.
Yeah.
When you give someone a check for $100 and take out taxes and do all your FICA matching and give them some boring thing they have to sign the back of and go deposit, and the dentists always say, "Well, is that legal?" It's like, well, who cares if it's legal? Just hand her a Benjamin.
You're the employer. Of course it's legal. I mean, it's up to that person to claim it or not, it's up to them, but it's absolutely legal. So generally, I recommend one tier bonus for, let's say, 50% conversion rate. And they get another tier if they surpass 60%. So now they're incentivized to really perform at a high level.
What's the average conversion when they start as a client, and what's the average conversion a month later? Or how long does it usually take to ramp up? A month?
I mean, the first training, I can get it up by another 10th.
Another 10th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty simple. It's really not a ton. It's really, it's giving the person tools to be successful, creating the environment to where they're motivated.
And by the way, what's the name of your YouTube channel? How do they find you on YouTube? Just go to YouTube and put in Vlad Kostovski?
Yeah, Vlad Kostovski.
VLAD, Vlad for Vladimir, Kostovski, Kostovski. I love your YouTube channel. How many YouTubes do you have?
I have a ton. I mean, a few dozen maybe.
24?
Oh, more than that. I do 2 a week, and I've been doing 2 a week almost the entire year.
Why don't you?
I'm close to 100. I gotta be.
Well, why don't you email me, Howard at Dentaltown.com, or Ryan, my son, at FarranMedia.com with some of those YouTube, because I'd like to play some of them, because I mean, how long is your average video?
2-3 minutes. I keep them extremely short just to be able to watch a couple quickly, get through them on a whim, and really just short enough to where I won't lose the person.
So you have a 3-part deal. You drive calls, direct mail, Facebook. Then you work on scheduling conversions. And I'm telling you, if you're driving to work right now and you think, well, I don't need this. Okay, think about what you just said. You don't even know how many people called you. I mean, you couldn't tell me if last month, if 1,000 people called your office or 5,000. I mean, you have no idea. And you don't know your conversion rate. And I know what you're doing right now. You're already fantasizing about a new bonding agent that's going to come out next year that hasn't even been invented yet. Okay, so the third part is treatment. So what do you do with the treatment?
You'd be surprised, but probably you wouldn't be surprised. But first thing we do is we create a process to present and close these treatment plans, because a lot of times when I ask the dentist, okay, so what's the process to presenting these treatment plans? There really isn't one. The dentist kind of goes in, they make their recommendation, they leave, and the patient is kind of free to do whatever they need to do. So the first thing that we do is we create a process for it.
Here's what they do every time. I was looking at your x-rays, and you have an MO on 3 and a DO on 4. So go up front and tell Agnes you need a Mo and a Doe on 3 and 4. Okay, you have a nice day. And then they go to the next room.
Yeah, and it's
and the patient has no idea what he even said.
And sometimes the patient don't know how strong of a recommendation it is. So I'll do trainings on how to present them. You got to present the good parts and the bad. I talk about gold medals and German Shepherds. Some people are motivated by running towards a gold medal. Most people are motivated, like myself, by running away from a German Shepherd.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Are you a gold medalist?
Or
looking for a gold medal, or running away from a German Shepherd?
Yeah.
Huh. That's an interesting deal. So, what are best practices of treatment planning and presenting? Number one, let's go with the first thing. Should doctor do it with 8 years of physics, or should someone from the front do it? Who do you have better success with?
It's either going to be the dentist or the practice manager.
The dentist, but who do you think's better on average?
If the dentist is comfortable communicating in this certain way and presenting all the good and bad, most of them are. I think the dentist is, because I can teach somebody how to present it, but I can't teach somebody the information that they need for the technical aspects.
Okay, well, I can tell you, after knowing my homies for 29 years, they all hate selling dentistry. Mm-hmm. Every one of them will tell me, I ain't selling dentistry. So how do you break past how's the gold medal German Shepherd work into a dentist who said, dude, I didn't go to college for 8 years to sell used cars?
Well, it's not really this. They're always selling whether they know it or not. People don't like going outside of what they feel comfortable doing. So when they present a treatment plan, whether they know it or not, whether they're good at it or bad at it, they're still selling it. They're still recommending it.
Yeah, we don't allow you to say that word on Dentistry Uncensored.
I know.
You can say shit, damn, and all that, but you can't say selling. I mean, that is over the top.
And it's your ethical duty to do this. every ounce of your ethics should push you to become a better salesperson. Because first of all, the only reason you're presenting this is because it's for the betterment of your patient. If you have to do everything in your power to keep your patients as healthy as possible. And if you're not improving your sales skills, your communication, and your influencing abilities, you're doing a disservice to the community that you serve. Because now your patients have a higher likelihood of suffering for whatever could possibly happen if they don't get that treatment taken care of. It is your full ethical and moral obligation.
I know women who have told me in my office that when they lost all their teeth and needed a denture, they thought about ending their life. I have patients that one lady cried to me that when she had all of her teeth removed and the denture put in that I put in her mouth, she no longer felt comfortable kissing her husband. She couldn't sleep with him in her mouth at night, so she wanted to take him out. So she kicked her husband out of her bedroom, made him sleep on the couch, and then she locked her door because she had to take her teeth out. She didn't want her husband ever seeing her without her teeth in. And after a year and a half of him sleeping on the couch, she finally left. And she looks back to losing the love of her life from losing her teeth. And then these dentists aren't passionate enough about dentistry to say, dude, you have 5 cavities, you have gum disease. And that when you give them whiter, brighter, sexier teeth, it raises their self-esteem and they're happier and healthier. And how do they not get into that?
You know, I can tell you from personal experience, when I was a kid, I had braces for 3.5 years. These 2 teeth are fake right here. And I had braces for maybe, 2.5. It ended up being 3 years because we moved and we had to find another orthodontist in that time. But I had braces to create that gap there. And then I had surgeries, 3 small, just outpatient quick surgeries to get these implants in. And
so you lost those front teeth?
They just never grew. Genetics.
Your front 2 teeth are implants and crowns?
Not the front 2, but the ones right next to
the
it.
laterals?
Yeah, the laterals.
So they just never came in. That's the common condition. So you just...
Yeah.
They just didn't come in.
Yeah, and I can tell you for me, what it did for my self-esteem and how I felt about myself. And, granted, I think I was 16, 17 when I finally got it done. It's the equivalent of waking up on a different planet, on a planet where people just treat you better and you feel better about yourself. You're always in a different state.
So it bothered you when you didn't have lateral incisors?
It bothered me to have, braces. I had crooked teeth when I was a kid, and there were some was going on to where I had to have the braces, and the gap that I had those 2 teeth missing was going to cause a whole host of other problems down the line. But when I see my smile now, it's the level of confidence that I have is it's just unreal. To have a perfect smile from, I remember for years, and this is over 10 years ago where I got them taken off, but I still remember it because I was so conscious of it, of having the braces, more so having the gaps right there for so long with the braces, and I can only imagine what people experience later on in life when you are an adult, when you are expected to appear differently. It's more socially acceptable for a kid to have horrible teeth. If you're not doing everything you possibly can to convince your patients to keep a healthy, to keep your oral health high, you're really doing a huge disservice to your community. And, to be honest, that's every business. If you're not doing everything you possibly can to convince your community, the people that you serve, that they need to do whatever business you're doing, you deserve whatever fallbacks you have in business. Because when you open a business in the United States of America, success is an ethical duty. It's a moral obligation that people should have.
And remember, they're listening to this in Macedonia and Albania too. And by the way, it was Elber's in Macedonia, his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to you in Albania. What's the capital of Albania? The airport. Tiziana?
You know what? My geography is terrible. People don't hire me for geography.
But anyway, so back to treatment plan presentation. So what specifically are you doing for them? Is some of this technical too? Like text reminding them? Is that Infusionsoft that you had?
Yeah. So the first
you do a partnership with Infusionsoft?
Yeah. So I'm a partner for them, and I help dentists identify how to use it. But so the first part is presenting it, and not presenting it, but also an entire process in place. So after you presented the treatment plan options, the practice manager can speaks to you for financing options. They talk about the insurance options, care credit if you have that. And once the process is created, we know your conversion rates. Now, again, this is going to vary based on are you taking all types of insurance, or are you cash only, and what kind of area do you service? And then what we use Infusionsoft for is to follow up with that. So people that don't move forward right away on the initial on the initial visit, use Infusionsoft to keep in touch with the person about that specific treatment plan. So let's say it's Invisalign, right? And someone leaves your office, they just had the Invisalign consultation. They get put in an automatic email sequence that tracks their activity that talks about Invisalign. So you have the ability to send them different marketing and different information based on how they behave on previous information. And your practice manager has the ability to track their activity so they can call the person when they've hit a certain level of activity. So let's say you want to know whenever somebody clicks on a certain link in an email, maybe that should be a call to action for you to call them. Your practice manager will get notified as soon as that person's clicked on that link, or as soon as that person starts watching a certain video that you might have, and really call them at the time to where interest is peaked. Because that's another name of the game. Timing's a really big factor. And with Infusionsoft, you're able to make sure that you're contacting the person at the time where their interest is at a high, and not just bothering that person at random times at work.
And you set up the whole Infusionsoft 2 thing?
Infusionsoft has a implementation process. I am a part of that implementation process, but they have an Infusionsoft consultant that they work with as well that implements it.
So you recommend they do that? You said you worked with Yappy, Infusionsoft, and Newcom. And we'll try to get Jim Poole to follow you. We talked about Infusion. Talk about why you're a partner with Yappy. It's
a phenomenal product. I've worked with different patient communication systems in the industry, and Yappy solves problems that I didn't even know existed. You know what that's like, right? Like something comes up and you just didn't know it was a problem before, but it does everything that a patient communication system should do, and it also makes the actual office paperless, essentially. So it saves time from the front desk person having to input the patient's information after the patient filled out whatever paperwork. And that frees up your front desk to really either handle calls that are coming in or just take care of the patients that are in your office.
So you're a big fan of Dr. Gina Dorfman's, who owns Yappy. What is the name of that website?
YappyCentral.com.
Yappy Central. And Yappy stands for Yet Another Practice Management Information System. Did you know that's what Yappy stands for?
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, Yappy, Y-A-P-I, Yet, because when Gina said she's going to have that, she said everybody rolled their eyes. I said, yeah, like we need yet another practice management information system. And I've, a couple of times I've looked her in LA, she's brought her entire office. I mean, it's like 25 people, some of the most amazing people in the world. But so Yappy is all the stuff that the basic practice management software doesn't have. Of all the basics ones, do you have any favorites? I mean, did you think some of those practice management information like Dentrix or EagleSoft or Open Dental or SoftDent?
Not really.
Do you think any of them are better than the others?
I personally don't have experience working in any.
Yeah.
Most of I've only had one client that had a transition.
And what they transitioned from?
They transitioned from Dentrix into the first cloud.
A cloud one.
I think it's the one.
I want to ask you a controversial question. This is Dentistry Uncensored. Some dentists want to switch to their phone system to voice over internet protocol, VoIP. When they do the phones over the internet, there's so many things you can do. But then some people say, but it was actually a nightmare because our phones went down for 5 or 15 minutes.
Call quality can be an issue with VoIP as well. So
it's 2016. We're a week away from 2017. Is VoIP there for the average American dentist? I mean, there's 211,000 licensed dentists in America. What percent of them do you think have a high enough quality internet that their phones would always be up and running with VoIP?
So here's my question to get to that answer is whatever benefit you're going to get from switching to VoIP worth the risk from having, subpar call quality at times?
Have you seen those threads on Dentaltown about that?
I have seen them a couple times.
A lot of dentists have tried VoIP and said, no way, our phones are down for 15 minutes and we just can't have them down 15 minutes.
I mean,
so they want a hardwired landline.
Yeah, and you know what? I personally think you should continue with a hardwired landline, at least for now. And I've used VoIP before for myself. Back when it first came out, I didn't have any issues with it at that time. But again, I've heard enough stories out there to where even from personal users that made call quality an issue, depending on what area you lived in. And I don't know all the factors that go into that, but I wouldn't.
Is it kind of ironic talking about quality when during this interview we have a cat that's freaking out on the window? She's completely insane.
I have two dogs, so.
You see what that is? That was at 5:30 in the morning, her biting my hand because I was still sleeping.
Oh, you know what? I have a mini golden doodle and a cockapoo, and my cockapoo, her mouth is so huge compared to the rest of her head, and just huge teeth. When she gets excited, she'll open her mouth with these huge teeth and just start turning it. She scratched up my face before so many times.
So how does what does this cost my homies? What if they're saying there? I mean, they basically just want some more revenue because they look at their overhead. They say, okay, the average overhead in American dentists is 65%, and a lot of them are doing their numbers and they're looking at it and they say, God, if I just had 10 more patients a month, I could drive my overhead down from 65 to below 6. You get out of the 60s, maybe 59. If you're already paying all your rent, mortgage, equipment bill, computer, 10 more patients a month would just be pretty much nothing but net. They don't know what they want because they can't tell you how many calls are coming in their office. They don't know their conversion rate. So they don't even know if they need direct mail and Facebook ads or just convert the ones that you've organically created. See, my deal is this. You're doing a great job. You're getting word of mouth referrals. You just don't know it. So Mary tells Shawanda that you're great. So Shawanda calls your office and says, well, how much is a crown? And whatever she asks her doesn't matter. Your receptionist is blowing the call 2 out of 3 times. You don't know it. Your receptionist isn't on stage. You're not recording the phone calls. The dentist went to school for 8 years. The hygienist went to school 4 years. My dentist Jen went to school for 9 months. Your receptionist is hired off the street. Her last job, she was a bank teller or whatever. There's no training and there's no transparency. There's no management.
And that's a great.
And then you think the answer is to go to the Pankey Institute, to Coyce, the Scottsdale Center, to go learn TMJ, to go learn sleep apnea. And I always say those are awesome things, and I've done them all. But get your house in order. Get your business poised for growth. Get profitable. Get rich. Get successful, and then go do all that stuff because. That's why I went to dental school, to use our hands to fix people's teeth in a surgery all day long. I get it, but you got to do this stuff.
And that's a great example question is how much does a crown cost? When somebody asks how much something costs, it's usually the best question someone comes up with to ask their real concern. And is the real concern is, am I going to get taken care of? Is this crown going to fall apart?
Because they don't know what to ask.
Exactly.
They don't know what to ask. I mean, what are they supposed to ask? What was your GPA in undergrad? Did you get an A in physics? I mean, I mean, like when I turned 50, I need a colonoscopy. What was I supposed to call and ask? Like, how far is it going to go in? Is it going to go in like a foot? I mean, you don't know what to ask.
You're absolutely right.
What would you call a colonoscopy place? Does anybody actually like it? I mean, it just you're a human. You don't know what to ask.
You're absolutely right. But a lot of times when dentists hear these calls and they just think so many patients are price focused. That's not the case at all. Your patients are quality focused, and really, if it's their first crown, if it's their first procedure, they're probably really nervous.
Sure.
It's the best question that they know how to ask, where, hey, am I going to get taken care of? Is this the right thing for me to do? So you got to get these people that ask price in your practice and really create certainty for them in their practice, and they'll move forward with you if you create enough certainty.
You got to create trust.
Yeah.
You got and you're selling uncertainty, because when someone wants to upgrade from an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 7 or whatever, those are easy consumer decisions to figure out. But when someone needs chemotherapy, a root canal, a broke tooth, you're selling the invisible. So when you have a lot of staff turnover, and every time your patients come in, it's different staff, when they call your office and the girl says, well, I don't know, I've only worked here for 3 weeks, yep. Versus, I've worked here for 9 years, and all my children go here, and Dr. Blind in One Eye, he is the best dentist in the world. And even though he's blind, you got to create trust.
Yeah.
And it's hard to create trust when you have rapid staff turnover, when you always are running off to continuing education courses with just by yourself, because it's all about you, till you learn your great skill, and you don't take the staff and you don't invest time in training them, and you don't make their job feel important. Like when you get them a consultant and Vladimir is making them feel important and telling them how important this is. It's so important, we're going to record your phone calls. And it's so important, we're going to go over them. And come on, we're going to measure this. And rah, go team. That's how you build a team.
Yeah.
But hey, Vlad, thank you for coming over to the house. Thank you for all that you do for my homies. I'm a big fan of your post on Dentaltown. How do they find your YouTube channel? What's it called?
YouTube.com, and then it's Vlad Kostovski at the end. If you go to my website, on my blogs, I have a
What's your website?
VladKost, dentalmarketing.com, VLADKOST, dentalmarketing.com. If you go to my blog, I have a video for every blog, so you can go to my YouTube channel just from there. And I have 2 levels of service. I have the one-on-one service that people hire me for, where I work with every practice one-on-one. You have access to my mobile number. I'm always on call. And in that type, we do a new implementation every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, there's a problem that we solve. And we continuously work it to hit your goal. And I'm also coming out with a membership product that's going to be a little bit more affordable for everybody, for literally every type of dentist.
But how much all these things cost?
To hire me one-on-one, my offer is I charge $2,500 per month. I give a 30-day money-back guarantee, to where within the first 30 days, if for any reason you feel our relationship isn't heading the direction that you need, you get a full refund, no questions asked. We part as friends. Whatever work I've done at that point is yours to keep. And it's month to month after that.
So premium's $2,500 a month.
Yes.
And then what's the other stuff?
So the membership product that I have.
Well, let me just stop there. If one of my homies gives you $2,500 for the first month of the year, January, what's the chance that their dental office won't bring in $2,500 more dollars?
It's the ROI is huge. Even scheduling. Just scheduling training alone, that would pay for an entire year.
Yeah. So they just and then they'll say, I don't know. But then these institutes that teach you like TMJ, they're like $3,500 a weekend. They're like, I don't think I'm going to do that, Vlad. I think I'm going to go spend $3,500 for a weekend course learning TMJ. Really? Again, you're a dentist. I get it. I'm a dentist too. We're weird. I'd rather pull 4 wisdom teeth than play golf on Pebble Beach. And I'd rather do that 10-1. Golf on Pebble Beach compared to pulling out 4 wisdom teeth. Are you kidding me? You can have Pebble Beach. But you got to do this stuff. You got to do it. Why? How can you do Pankey, Coys, Ross seminars in Chattanooga go see Tarun Agro. I get it. But if you don't know how many people called your office last month and you don't know your conversion rate, you're probably going to these courses at the Pankey Institute on a credit card. You're probably buying this stuff not in cash because your house is in order. Get rich first. Get successful. Get your house in order. Vlad can do it. Vlad, thanks for coming on my house.
Thanks for having me.
Being on my show.